When it comes to my wedding, I'm always ready with a bunch of excuses. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. I am Raphael and I am here to review episode 10 of the Real Housewives Having Private Weddings of Potomac. So before we discuss this current episode, I wanted to discuss last week's episode for a bit because I didn't get a chance to review it. Why? Because I felt so sick for about a week and a half. I had the flu and my nose was so runny. My voice, I kind of lost it. It sounded raspy. It kind of sounded like Natalie Nunn's voice. I run LA. And I just felt so sluggish. I had no energy whatsoever to do anything. So all I could do was literally just lay in bed. I just felt so weak. I was weaker than Robyn and Juan's relationship. So you could only imagine how I felt. You know, it really pained me to not record anything or to upload anything for about 2 weeks because I'm so used to a certain schedule to uploading videos every week, and to not do that for 2 weeks, it was just crazy to me. But again, I just had to do what I had to do to heal, you know, better for myself and everything, so I could actually have the energy to actually get on camera now. Now, currently, do I feel better? Yeah, I'm not 100%, but I'm at least 85% much better than what I started with, like 2 weeks ago before, or a week ago or whatever. But yeah, so that's why, everybody, you know, if I've been missing in action from YouTube for about 2 weeks, that's exactly why, because I just did not feel good and I had to force myself to heal and to be better. So again, I'm so sorry for not uploading anything. But with that being said, let's talk about this trip to Miami, or at least the ending trip to Miami from last week's episode, because whew, you know, even though I was sick, I was watching this episode like, you know, with my runny nose and all, I was like, I know Robyn is not serious. We started last week's episode off with the white party, right? The all-white party that everybody had to dress up in all white for Karen's birthday, or slash not birthday party, or slash birthday dinner for her that Mia wasn't hosting anymore. And of course, Mia, she just had to show up like she was Latasha from Escape. She was the only one wearing white, but with something else on it. Everybody else was wearing white, but she, of course, she had to have these big-ass red flowers on it. And I'm like, Mia, you can't let Karen shine for 5 seconds. On top of that, she said she wasn't going to be the host of this dinner party that, to be honest with you, we didn't really need a host anyway. It's not like it was anything special. It was very, in her own very words, low budget. So nobody really cared. And then eventually, Ashley and Candace, they had to get into it. You know, Ashley just couldn't let it go for like 1 second. It's Karen's birthday and you still want to fight. Candace wasn't giving into, you know, whatever Ashley was trying to bait her in. Ashley was like, so what? You're not going to produce a scene with me? You're not going to fight with me? I need a camera time with you. Candace was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry. So then Candace, she started going down the line. She was like, Robyn, do you have an issue? Robyn, she was like, no, I don't have an issue. Giselle, nothing. Charisse was sleeping. Charisse was like, huh? Do I have a problem with you? No. Wait, are we filming right now? Can y'all just wake me up when it's time for me to expose Karen? Okay, thank you. I'm going back to sleep. Good night. That was literally Charisse the entire episode. So eventually, Mia's representative, which I like to call Mia's Pokemon, because Mia, she grabbed her Pokeball and she was like, Jacqueline, I choose you. And then Jacqueline, she popped up and she tried to fight Candace. And she was like, Candace, why are you always getting like this? Why are you getting defensive? And I'm like, Jacqueline, first of all, who are you? And that's exactly what Candace said. Candace was like, ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. She was like, first of all, who the fuck are you? Jacqueline, if I was you, the second that she would have asked me that, I would have just gotten out the table. I would have been like, you know what? It's fine. I don't have to introduce myself. I'm just going to go cry over there. That's so embarrassing. And it was even more embarrassing when they were sharing each other's, you know, special moments with Karen. She was laughing and I'm like, Jacqueline, you haven't even been around the group for more than 5 minutes. Why are you laughing at all these special moments between them? At least they've known each other for years. Who are you? Eventually, the next day, I believe Mia, you know, she had these low budget events. One, she wanted to go film Fast and the Furious with Jacqueline, Karen, and Gizelle, and then everybody else had to go film the Titanic on this cheap ass boat that was 2 seconds away from, you know, drowning. And I'm like, Mia, you know, again, for somebody who made fun of Candace's music video last season and called it low budget, as you said, this is a pretty low budget event. Like, what's going on here? Like, this is Miami, and you have us doing this? You have us pedaling on struggle boats? Like, what is this? And then you have Gizelle. You know, instead of filming Fast and the Furious, she's filming Fast and the Tacky. Eventually, we all get down to the nitty-gritty of the dinner at the very end of the episode, right? But before that, when they were heading there, Mia, she actually told Gizelle and everybody else who was in the car a very interesting fun fact about her and Jacqueline. And she was like, Well, I had a boyfriend years ago that his dick was so good and I wanted Jacqueline to try it, so they did and she loved it. So I thought, well, you know what? I'm not gonna break up a happy thing between them, so I'm gonna stay in a relationship with him as long as she's happy. And I'm like, wait, what? What kind of relationship is this between her and Jacqueline? I mean, I get it. Sometimes best friends, they share clothes, drinks, french fries, or even Uber rides, but to share a dick? I mean, Jacqueline, first you don't have deodorant or lotion or toothpaste or anything, and now you don't have dick either. Like, what do you have? Like, this is becoming very concerning. And the fact that Mia keeps putting her on blast in front of all these cameras, I mean, I can see why they kind of fell out now, currently. But eventually they get to this dinner, right? At the very end. And after Mia had told Candace that she didn't want Wendy to be a part of this dinner, what did Ashley do? Hello, Wendy? How fast can you get here to this dinner? Ashley was just so messy. So eventually Wendy showed up, and as happy as I was to see her finally filming with the group, I was so disappointed that she apologized to Mia. And for what? She was basically, taking ownership of the whole fight between them 2 episodes ago. And I'm like, but Wendy, you didn't do anything. You were just defending yourself. But I mean, I guess, so much for being the bigger person. I'm not the bigger person. I'm gonna be petty. Eventually Mia was just like, thank you for your apology, I guess, or whatever, but I still don't accept anything. Anyways, I just don't like that people here could be such a spoiled little brat. She was talking about Ashley, so Ashley and her kind of get into it. Ashley, she called her a bully, and Candace killed me. Candace is sitting right next to Jacqueline at the dinner table, right? So she tells Jacqueline, aka Mia's Pokemon, aka Mia's assistant, aka Mia's representative, right? So she was like, Jacqueline, you're not gonna jump in it? I'm like, damn, Candace, so bold. So then Jacqueline, they get into it. And she was like, no, you need to shut the fuck up. I'm not jumping into it, anything. You need to mind your business. And you need to take a seat. Candace was like, I am taking a seat, bitch. Again, Candace, that is 2-0. Jacqueline, you need to do something because you're losing in this battle between Candace. Let's get to the real topic. This whole speaker situation between Robyn and Candace. Robyn was just like, hold on, everybody. I'm going to hold the center champagne flute for season 8, but, I have a speaker right here that I bought from Walmart. I have a little coupon that I got. So here's my little speaker. Hold on, everybody. I'm going to play it right here. Hold on. Let me put it in the center of the table. I got a little remote control with it. Yeah, it came with a special. Yeah, I got it for Black Friday. Yeah. So hold on. It was delivered to the Airbnb. Okay. Is everybody ready? Cameras, are you ready? We're going to catch for this? Okay. Here we go. Press play.
Tom's house was broken into and he confronted the burglar and then had to go have eye surgery. And then my son had to go over and help. And then my son, he rolled his car 5 times on the way home.
Wait. Wrong audio. This is not the audio. Eventually, it comes to find out that Robyn, she had recorded Candace's Instagram live, basically talking shit about the group and calling them a bunch of fake-ass hoes. And, I mean, it was public, so it wasn't like Candace was hiding it from anybody. But, I mean, if she was to make such a comment like that, if you were a part of the group, and she was to have said, oh, yeah, I can't stand being around a bunch of fake-ass hoes, and she didn't address anybody specifically, would you feel offended? I mean, if I was part of the clique, right, and she was to have said that, maybe I will feel some type of way, but Candace, she obviously wasn't hiding it or whatever, so I don't know what Robyn was trying to get at with that. And it was just crazy to me how Robyn, she flipped on Candace so quickly. Like, it was as if she was looking for a reason to hate Candace from the beginning because, I mean, you were cool with her this entire time. And yeah, Candace may have been bothered that Robyn was basically taking Mia's side in this whole situation with the whole throwing of the drink and stuff or whatever. And Candace had told her last week, I believe, or the episode before that, when she was just like, oh, little limes are for bitches. So what did Robyn do? She decided to take her son's speaker from home. And bring it to the trip or whatever. I can only imagine her sons are probably in Potomac like, have you seen my speaker, Dad? I want to have like a party in the basement. Where's my speaker? Meanwhile, their mom is being messy here in Miami with the speaker. So eventually Ashley exposed Candace and, Candace was just getting it from left, right, center, everywhere, right? And Candace was kind of like a sitting duck because, I mean, it's not like she was trying to backtrack with the whole Ashley situation, how Ashley was like, oh, well, Karen, you know, it may be your birthday or whatever, but Candace, she actually said that you were actually talking to other people. You were seen with other men, that you were sleeping around. And I'm like, wow, Ashley, you know, again, just when we thought we had some type of hope between Ashley and Candace, what, like 3-4 episodes ago, that all just went to hell because Ashley, yikes. So then Candace, this is where she also looked stupid because Candace was trying to deny it. And she was like, no, I never said that. I don't know what you're talking about. Karen, do you want me to sing to you? Boy, you make me wanna come back. I don't know what you're talking about. And it was clear that Candace was talking about Karen at the beginning of the season where she was like, oh, you know, bitch, we see you. We see that, you know, you've been going out to dinner with other men or whatever. So Candace, you were caught in a lie. This episode currently that we're about to discuss, she clears it up and she says that a producer told her, blah, 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 and she was drunk and she didn't remember. So that's understandable. But in the moment, it just wasn't looking good for you. And Karen, she was going for every single Oscar award when she looked at Candace and she was like, you know, how could you, Candace? How could you, Candace? I thought we were friends. You know what? Fuck this right now. You know, fuck this right now. I'm gonna go away. No, shut the fuck up. I'm leaving. Like the theatrics. And then on top of that, it was raining, it was storming. I'm like, wow, the theatrics. So eventually, everybody went to the club, right? And I Googled the club because I was at this very club years ago. It's called Mangoes in Miami. And I think it's on like the main strip or whatever. So they went to this club. Mia, she went home. No, Mia went with them. Gizelle, she went home. Everybody else, they were all having fun and everything. And I was so shocked to see Mia, Candace, they were getting along. Wendy and Robyn, they were getting along. They were hugging and everything and sharing drinks. And it was just crazy to me. I'm like, wow, you know, when the Henny is in the system, I was just like, wow, okay, so they're getting along. So, okay, I like to see this or whatever. And, you know, it's nice to see, you know, because Robyn, she's sometimes Robyn is so close to being on the right side of things, but she's so far up Gizelle's ass that it's just like, can you stop? Can you just be your own person for 1 second? So it was nice to see her kind of, you know, being friends with Wendy, even though, again, this current episode that we're about to discuss, it was a whole different thing, but eventually, you know, one thing led to another. They're all heading home in the Uber ride, and Ashley, you know, somebody needs to get Ashley on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills because she did what Lisa Rinna could never do. She was recording right on her own cell phone because eventually, you know, the alcohol, even though, you know, it brings you to a high, like, you know, you start getting along with everybody, you start loving on everybody and stuff. Then it also has that dark side of it where it could also like, you know, you're drinking or whatever. All it takes is for somebody to push you the wrong way and then you want to fight. You know, I'm not going to talk about my experience, but, you know, that's typically what alcohol does. So eventually, Candace and Robyn, they get into it in the Uber truck, right? In the Uber ride that they were going home with. Mia, she's calling Robyn, I believe, or somebody on the phone. And she was like, what's going on? What's happening? You hear Candace and Robyn just going at it. They're screaming at each other. It was just so crazy to me. I'm like, what is going on? Meanwhile, Ashley's just in the back, like, holding her phone, recording everything. And I'm like, Lisa Rinna, like, where were you? You should have took notes from Ashley. Like, this is what we needed on Beverly Hills with the whole Kathy Hilton meltdown, with her whole breakdown in the Sprinter Van. But no, Lisa Rinna, you couldn't even do that. But Ashley, kudos to you. I need you to head over to the West Coast for a little bit, you know, to show Lisa Rinna how to do a thing or two. But eventually that was that, and that's how the episode ended. And then we saw the mid-season trailer, and what I got from that trailer was so shocking. And no, I'm not talking about Karen supposedly fucking somebody behind Ray's back. I'm talking about seeing Robyn in a wedding dress. I'm like, what is she doing? I had to rewind it a couple of times because I could not believe it. I'm like, wait a minute, is that really Robyn in a wedding dress? They must have filmed the Halloween episode. Because I'm not believing it. Like, why is she trying that on? Where is she going? But either way, that was my recap of last week's episode. Now on to this week's episode. So we head over to Robyn and Gizelle, and they're recording an episode for their podcast, Reasonably Delusional. After they're done, they're discussing about this event that they're doing. They're doing a live show for their podcast, right? So they're discussing that, how they're about to go about it. All I heard was Juan was supposed to be there. And I'm like, but does he know that? And how Ashley's gonna show up and all this and all that, right? And, you know, side note, I was listening to their episode today, right? Their newest episode of their podcast, because again, I do listen to their podcast. And if you put your feelings for them, both of them aside, their podcast is pretty, you know, it's pretty good. It's pretty entertaining. But this episode specifically that I was listening to today, it was very It was very nasty what Robyn was sharing, and trigger warning because it's about to be real gross. So Robyn, she was sharing on her podcast again earlier. She was talking about how, when her and her brother, when they were younger, her brother wanted to know what a fart looked like, right? And I'm like, okay, where are we going with this conversation? So eventually her brother pulled his pants down and he put his ass to Robyn's face and then he farted. And then Robyn, again, she admitted this from her own mouth on the podcast. I'm not making this up. Robyn said that a little bit of the fart juice went on her face. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't support their podcast anymore. So Gizelle just tells Robyn, so Robyn, a little birdie by the name of Ashley told me that you were hanging around my biggest enemy on the show, Wendy. Is that true, Robyn? Were you disobeying my orders, huh? Because you're supposed to be my minion. So why are you hanging around Wendy, Should I go after you and Juan's relationship for next season? Is that what you want me to do, Robyn? Please tell me the truth. What did Robyn do? Robyn was so shook. She was just like, oh man, she found out about me and Wendy. What should I do? Let me lie. Let me lie before she comes after me and my relationship. Oh wait, I don't have one for next season. I don't know what she's gonna come after. Gizelle, I don't know what you're talking about, Queen Gizelle. I would never disobey you. My head is so far up your ass. I would never go against you. I'm sorry. Like, no, Wendy came on to me. She was hugging on me. She was saying that she missed me. She loves me, all this and all that. I was so confused. I was just like, ugh, get off me. I don't know you. And I'm like, wow, Robyn, wow, wow, wow. Clearly in the clips that we saw of you and Wendy, both of you were getting along mutually. I mean, yeah, the alcohol, was in the system and everything, but you were still smiling to her face and hugging on her and all this and all that. Why? Because Gizelle wasn't in the picture. I'm pretty sure if Gizelle was there, Robyn would have had a whole different tune, but it's just pretty unfortunate how Robyn just changes her whole demeanor just because she's in front of Gizelle and she doesn't want to disappoint her. And again, she relapses to being in her shadow again. So then Gizelle was just like, okay, well, don't let that happen again. Okay, Robyn, let this be the last time. And Robyn was just like, I'm sorry, but moving on to other things, me and Candace, we're supposed to meet up. And Candace, she's a little bothered that I recorded her, on Instagram Live. And I'm like, you think, Robyn, you think that she's not upset? Like, again, to me, that is just such a big snake thing to do. Like, for you to record somebody, like, how do you move on as friends in that situation? Like, then we head over to Candace's house and she's in the backyard with her husband, Chris. They're planning a party together and she announces that she got her second degree in business from Howard University and how it's going to help her out in her music career when it comes to making decisions in business. And congratulations to her because she has really been doing some great things this entire season. Despite Gizelle and Ashley trying to creep underneath her skin and shake her up a bit, she's still been pushing past all the BS and focusing on everything that she's been wanting to do. I mean, she has the re-release of her album, then she has a song and a music video with the iconic rapper Trina, and now she has a business degree. Like, she has really been doing some great things and using her platform on the show correctly, unlike others who are still, playing pretend prenups in their fake-ass relationships. But I'm not going to say any names, Robyn. So eventually she tells Chris, I'm going to invite Karen and I feel bad for what I said behind her back to Ashley of all people. Now she remembers, right? Now that the alcohol is flushed out. And then in the confessional, she was like, yeah, I did say what Ashley was basically accusing me of. And I feel bad because Karen is my friend and I should not have said that, especially to Ashley of all people. So then here comes the messy producer. So wait, how did you find out? How did you know? As if they didn't already know. Or were she was probably the one who told Candace. Candace was like, a producer told me. And she also blamed it on the alcohol. It happens, but at least Candace was woman enough to own up to it. Like Lisa Rinna said, own it, own it, own it. Instead of saying, no, I never said that. I never said that. I never said that. And then come at the reunion, then you're looking like a fool sitting there like, oh, wait a minute. I did say that when they play the footage back. So I'm glad that she confessed to it now instead of later on. And that was that. And she also tells Chris that her and Robyn are going to meet up for a one-on-one. Hopefully they fix things or whatever, because Robyn, she was cool at one point this season. I mean, the first 2 episodes this season, Robyn was really, really good. And then I don't know what happened after that. She just spiraled out of control. And then she's been trending on Twitter every other fucking week for the wrong reasons. So she tells Chris, well, I haven't had my period in a while. It might be late, alluding that she might be pregnant. And even though we find out later on in the episode that she's not, I hope that in the nearby future she does get pregnant, because just seeing her light up and get so excited at the thought and possibility of her even being pregnant right then and there was nice to see. And I see that she really, really does want this between her and Chris. And I hope that they both actually do get that in the end. Then we head over to Karen's house and she's having her assistant, Matt, come on over to share some ideas for her new venture that she's trying to do, which is a live show, a live conversation between her her and her fans. So Matt, he's giving her some ideas and they all sounded pretty well. He came up with a title for the whole event, which I believe it was called An Evening with the Grand Dame. And I'm like, okay, that sounds cute. But you know what, Karen? If you want it even cuter, go with my idea. My idea for the title will be A Cute and Classy Conversation with Karen. It sounds cute, right? It sounds better than the other one. But, Karen, if you're watching, just call me. So eventually they sit down to talk, and Karen, she's telling him, Matt, I'm just a little worried because, me and Wendy, we both came out with candles at the same time, and Robyn and Gizelle, they're doing their podcast live show too, so I just don't want them thinking that I'm copying them or anything. So that Matt, he was trying to get his champagne flute for next season because he was like, oh, reasonably delusional? Nobody listens to that. I mean, it sounds boring. And I'm like, wait, Matt. I know you might be a Karen fan, and, she might be writing your checks and everything, but their podcast is not boring. It's pretty okay. It's something that you play in the background as you're, scrubbing your toilet or something. It sounds good, but, Karen, I don't know, because the timing of this is just so coincidental, right? Because last season or 2 seasons ago, it was the candle. Wendy wanted to do the candles, and then you came out with candles. Now Gizelle and Robyn, they want to do their live show with their podcast, and now you want to do a live show. Like, next season, if you come out with a song with Trina, I'm going to be on to you. Then we see Robyn and Candace meeting up at this restaurant, and you could tell that something's bothering Robyn. Candace, she walks in and she immediately hugs her, and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Because where we last left off between both of them, they were going at each other in the car in Miami. So what happened from then to now? Robyn, she starts breaking down and crying uncontrollably. Candace, she does too. She's holding on to her. Then we find out that Robyn, she's known her hairdresser for 16 years, and she just so happened to lose her sister and her brother-in-law in a car accident. So that has affected Robyn because she's imagining what her hairdresser is going through. And even though Robyn has been a hot ass mess these past 8 episodes this season, I did feel for her in this moment. I don't think that she was trying to play out the sympathy card, or she probably came to a realization like, oh, I really did fuck up in Miami. Like, I really need to play the waterworks so the audience could like me or something like that. I don't think that she was doing that at all. I feel like, when death touches you, or even somebody that close to you, I feel like it does shake you up. It does make you emotional. And I feel like that's what happened with Robyn in this situation, and it kind of made her realize, the thing that me and you, Candace, are going through right now is not really that serious. Life is so much pressure than this. And, even though I see what she's going through and I see where she's coming from, I wish that she would have had the same type of energy towards Wendy without anybody having to die. I just wish that she would have, realized, what, Wendy, it's petty BS or whatever. I'm mad at you because you put me in my place last season and at the reunion. You know what? I'm going to forgive you and move on. But, it's unfortunate that sometimes in life, it takes death for people to realize, oh, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't do this, or maybe this isn't worth it, or maybe this isn't that serious, blah, blah, blah. But again, I just wish that she would have had that same energy with Wendy. So her and Candace, they talk it out, and Candace she tells Candace, I just wish that if you had an issue with me, you would have just told me, you would have addressed me instead of putting it on Instagram Live. And, I get where they're both coming from. I didn't understand what Candace meant when she said, oh, you're like a big sister to me. I always look up to you. And I'm like, look up to Robyn, of all people? Why? I mean, okay. And then she says that, they're such best friends, they're close friends. And I'm like, where? But okay, I mean, if that's what you want to call it, that's what you want to call it. And Candace just kind of gave in. And again, like I said earlier, I just don't know if me personally, if I'll be able to forgive somebody who recorded me, and then put me on a speaker in front of everybody trying to start something against me that I put on Instagram Live and use that against me. I just feel like that is some sneaky shit. Then we head over to Mia's opening, where she's going to open up her 5th branch to her business, The Joint, here in DC. So she's going to have the grand opening on a sidewalk. So she also goes on to tell us, well, I mean, I am from DC, so it's only fitting that I have an opening here in DC, that I have a business here in DC to represent where I grew up from, Me and Gordon, we put so much time and money into these businesses, and then we kind of just sit back and collect the royalties, And I'm like, okay, it's nice to see her running her business and stuff and having another opening, a 5th one. That's pretty impressive. So then Karen, she pops up, and Karen, she was just like, well, I do take my friendships very serious. So Mia, she's like no other. The fact that she's having this event and she invited me, I take it very, very, very serious. And I do take my friendship with Mia so serious. And I'm like, it's so interesting that out of all these friendships, Karen is the only one who shows up. What happened to Gizelle? Robyn, Mia was basically kissing their ass all throughout Miami, and now they're neither here or there at the event to support their friend. I guess it's only beneficial when it's for Robyn or Gizelle when they need her, to do their dirty work against Wendy. But okay, so then we have Mia's Pokemon, Pikachu, aka Jacqueline. She shows up and, Jacqueline just swore she was gonna get a 10-minute scene. She probably went shopping and everything for a dress, shoes, a coat and everything and jewelry. And she walked in like, okay, where's the cameras? She got like 30 seconds of camera time. And then they were like, okay, next. Mia, she tries to do the ribbon cutting, right? And if this wasn't a foreshadow of her business and how she should not have opened this up, because she gets the scissors, right? She's trying to cut the ribbon and the ribbon is not cutting. It's almost like the business said, don't open me. It's gonna close in 3 months. We then see Ashley and her son, baby Dylan, heading over to her uncle's house, and he's accompanied by her Aunt Monica. And I'm looking at this woman like, wait a minute, who's this bad bitch? Aunt Monica, you look good. So Ashley, she sits down and already Uncle Lump, he's looking at her like, okay, Ashley, so what disappointing news are you going to bring us this time? Because every time that Ashley shows up to either her mom's house or to her uncle's house, it's always just to depress them. So Ashley, she goes on to say that basically Michael has been trashed. The surprise that he basically threw a tantrum after he came back from vacation to Vegas with Juan, and he told her, "Oh, I want to spend time with just Dean, not baby Dylan, but you don't plan anything, blah blah blah." And then he started screaming at her. She said that Dean, he had to, get in between them and say, stop. And that's really, really sad that he's growing up in that toxic environment and seeing their parents have that toxic relationship, specifically coming from Michael, because obviously Ashley, I think she's been doing a pretty well job as a mother, but Michael, on the other hand, he's just all over the place and out of control. So Uncle Lump, he's just looking at her like, So what happened with this divorce? Am I gonna get any money out of it? Like, what are you doing? Aunt Monica, she gives her a beard, of course, a Corona. And Aunt Monica, I need you to be a friend of for next season. I like her. She was just giving Ashley a bunch of advice. Like, look, Ashley, like, you need to take him for everything that he's worth. Like, you'll never be lonely. You'll never be this. You'll never be that. And, Ashley, she starts crying and boo-hooing. And I'm just looking at her like,
I'm going to be lonely without Michael. He pinky promised me that he was going to buy me my new house, but I think he's going to give it to Juan instead.
Oh, really? Really? You're going to be sad? Like, I'm sorry, but, I'm so sorry if I'm chewing with my mouth open. I felt some type of way about Robyn crying, but Ashley, on the other hand, Ashley, I don't want to say you did it to yourself, but and I don't want to say that you got pregnant on purpose for money, but if that was low-key your intentions, then what else did you expect? If anything, I know you're crying that you're going to be lonely, this, that, and the third. You won't be that lonely, because you're going to be, you're going to be cuddling with Benjamin Franklin. You're going to have like a bunch of those to be around. So, you won't be that lonely, right? It's finally time for Gizelle's daughters, Adore and Angel, to have their Sweet 16. They look so beautiful in their dresses. Giselle, she's running around making sure that everything is good. She's greeting everybody at the door. Ashley, she shows up, followed by sleepy Charisse. Charisse, she's walking around like, does anybody have a pillow? Who's Adore? So her and Ashley, they sit down. Gizelle, she's greeting them with her friends. They're introducing each other. And then here comes the grand dame of Potomac. No, not Karen, but Pastor Holy Whore. Jamal, he shows up. Is Jamal coming? He is. I'm like, look at him. Everybody hide. And it is still crazy to me that Gizelle was married to him and she was technically a first lady of the church. Somebody as messy as Gizelle, I just can't picture her in a church setting. Like, can you imagine her? This is how it would probably be. This is Gizelle. Did you hear about the Virgin Mary? She claims that she's a virgin, but I feel like she's been sleeping around with everybody in this church, but you didn't hear from me. Like, I just cannot picture Gizelle in that type of environment not being messy. But regardless, Jamal, he shows up and, I just kept looking at him and I'm like, is that really him? Like, he really showed up? This is not a holograph, a projector, nothing. Like, this is really him in the flesh. And I'm like, wow, I wonder how much his booking fee was. But he shows up and he gives his daughters a lovely speech. I believe he goes on to say that he's proud of them and he's proud that they didn't end up in jail. And I'm like, okay, that is something to be proud of. Gizelle, she was shocked, and then she gives her speech, and her speech was cute. I wish it was a little longer though, because I feel like we were about to see Gizelle get emotional and cry. And we barely ever see emotions from Gizelle unless it has something to do with her daughters. And I'm like, okay, so that was cute. Eventually, they started, taking pictures and everything. Gizelle, she started acting all wild and screaming like, yeah, it's their birthday, it's their birthday. And of course, one of her daughters had to be like, okay, Mom, that's enough. Even at their own Sweet 16, they still have to put their mom in their place. We finally get to Candace's party, but before that, she goes to pick up her mom at the airport. And I'm like, oh, please, no, not Mama Dorothy, but okay. So they go back to the house, and Mama Dorothy, she spots a big-ass snake just slithering around the house. And I'm like, whoa. Candace, you need to call somebody for that. That's dangerous. That's a big-ass anaconda. So then Mama Dorothy's looking at it, and she was like, oh, relax, Candace. It's nothing serious. It's just a big brown snake. That's my other nickname, by the way. And then Mama Dorothy, she was just like, oh, Candace, I thought you said Gizelle wasn't coming. She's right here. Referring to the snake. And then the editors, they were so shady. At the very bottom of the screen, they put Gizelle's name with her picture. I'm like, wow, I see where Candace gets her mouth from and her jokes. All the guests are arriving at her house one by one. Then we see Charisse. Enough. We see Karen and her husband, Ray. They pop up, followed by Wendy. I'm like, oh, look, there she is. I mean, we saw her for like 2 seconds earlier in the episode, but it was nice to see more of her. And I'm like, okay. Followed by Robyn. Robyn pops up. Was Juan with her? No. But they're all there or whatever. And then we see Robyn out back, right? She's eating with Karen and Ray. Karen, she starts asking her questions. And she was like, well, Robyn, me and Ray, we had a lot of free time. So, when's the wedding? Robyn? I'm like, Karen, damn well there is no wedding. So then Robyn, she was pretending to play dumb so badly with Karen. She was like, it's hot out here. It's hot. Is that a mosquito? Is that a mosquito? It's a spring, summer. Spring, summer, September. I'm like, Robyn, just please stop lying. Like, that there is no wedding. And then on top of that, she lies to Karen's face. And she was like, well, it's going to be like a private ceremony. It's going to be between me, Juan, if he shows up, and our 2 kids. It's going to be like a little, private thing between us. And I'm like, Robyn. And spoiler alert, there is no wedding this season because I believe Andy, he already confirmed it on Watch What Happens Live when she was a guest, and he embarrassed her too because she was like, oh, if you want to find out if me and him get married, you have to stick around for this season. We have a wedding or whatever. And then Andy was like, Robyn, I watched all the episodes. There is no wedding this season. Wendy, she pops up, and I'm like, okay, let's see what happens because I believe this is the first time that her and Robyn are seeing each other ever since their little drunk makeup in the club in Miami. So then Karen, she was like, okay, Ray, let's go find something to eat. So they walk away. Wendy, she was like, so Robyn, what's going on? I seen you back in Miami when we last got along, and we were kind of like apologizing to each other. What's happening? Robyn. Robyn was just like, Wendy, I just find it so interesting that, you were a whole different person just one-on-one with me and you. Like, I like that Wendy. That side of you I like. I don't like the Wendy that wants to debate all the time when she has an audience, when she has a group, when she's around other people. And I'm like, she's really trying to make out Wendy to be the bad person in this whole situation, where technically it was you and Gizelle that started this whole thing against Wendy last season by bringing up those rumors of Eddie supposedly cheating on Wendy behind her back. And you kept poking at her until she reacted, and then you didn't like her reaction. You thought you were just going to step all over her, and when you realized that you couldn't do that, now you're upset about it. You're upset because you can't control Wendy. You can't out-battle her with words. And that's the same thing that pisses her, Gizelle, and Mia off. That's why they're so upset about it. And it's just really unfortunate to see Wendy apologizing to her and what's her name? And Mia, when she's not in the wrong in this whole situation. But the real honest reason why she's probably apologizing and she's probably, sucking up her pride and swallowing her pride and everything is because she knows that if she continues this beef or whatever that she has with all three of them, that they're eventually going to find some way to completely ice her out of the group. completely. Like, they're not going to want to film with her. And, you know, if they have cast trips that, you know, one of them is hosting or whatever, they're obviously not gonna invite Wendy. So she has to do what she has to do, I guess, to stay on this show. I mean, she tweeted out that this whole friendship between her and Robyn, it doesn't last long anymore after this anyway. So it's pointless anyway to begin with. And I feel like it's probably gonna have to be because of Gizelle. Robyn and Wendy getting along while Gizelle and Wendy don't get along. I don't see Robyn picking on Wendy. I don't see her picking Wendy's side in that whole situation. So I can see where the fallout is gonna come from. So then Robyn, she was just like, well, I appreciate you apologizing. You know, I appreciate that you appreciate our friendship. That's that or whatever. And Wendy's just looking at her like, so do you want to say anything to me? Are you going to apologize? And then what did Robyn say? For what? For what? What did I apologize? I already apologized to you. For what? And I'm like, Robyn, after that whole heart-to-heart conversation that you just had with Candace earlier about how life is short and this is petty and this, that, and the third, and you just need to let it go, you still can't, you know, just swallow your pride or whatever. Just say, you know what, Wendy, I'm also wrong in this whole situation. I should have never brought up those rumors with Gizelle. You know, Gizelle is one thing, but I'm my own person, so I'm going to apologize for my part in this. But no, you couldn't even do that, right? So eventually we move back inside, and then Karen and Candace, they meet up or whatever. Candace wants to make everything right. And she was like, look, you know, I was drunk. I was drunk and I had a demon in front of me, Ashley. And I was just talking reckless. And I don't believe that you are all in the streets or whatever. I believe that you and Ray are in the streets together. And I'm like, you know, I don't know, Candace. I mean, I get it that she's trying to apologize and she's trying to make everything right. But no, you feel what you feel. And I feel like Candace, deep down inside, she knows that, you know, Karen is creeping around with somebody else behind Ray's back. She just doesn't want to put that out there on camera herself. She just accidentally slipped up and said it to Ashley because the alcohol was in the system, I'm assuming. But Karen, she's like, well, Candace, you know, I forgive you and everything, and I do want us to be right. You know, I do consider you a really good friend, so I just want us to, you know, move to a better place, you know, so I appreciate your honesty, so please don't do that again. How are you and Ashley, though, by the way? Are you too good? You're not? Candace is like, no, me and Ashley is just not going to be a thing, and that's that, and whatever. Candace was just like, yeah, the whole group right now is kind of off. Everybody's kind of off, and yeah, this whole group is kind of off. I just, like I said before, I don't see them technically being friends for next season. I don't know how we move forward when everybody basically hates each other. So meanwhile, we see Ray. He goes up to Chris, Candace's husband, and he was like, oh, you know, the whole situation with Gizelle, I heard that Karen told me that Gizelle wasn't going to be here because you were going to be here. Do you think that maybe you should just apologize? Like, maybe just say, I'm sorry. And Chris was like, apologize for what? And him and Candace had a good point in the confessional, because if he says, I'm sorry for so-and-so, or I'm sorry that you felt uncomfortable, he's going to be admitting that he purposely did something to, you know, make Gizelle feel that way. And like I said, Giselle's feelings are valid, but, you know, to say that I'm sorry, no. If anything, maybe he should just tell her, like, look, I know that you felt this way, and I get it completely. Your feelings are completely valid. You know, I understand what you felt. You felt uncomfortable, but that's not what I was trying to do. Like, you mistook it your way, and that's just not the way it was. And maybe that way they could come to some type of settlement. But like Candace said, you don't know what Gizelle, you know, dealing with Gizelle, you don't know with her, because, you know, you might get a one-on-one meeting with her. Next thing you know, she pulls out like a Uno card, and then she throws it on the table, and she was like, wait. There's more to my claims. You never know with Gizelle, so I don't blame them at all. So then Chris, he gets all pissy and upset, and he storms off. He's in the back patio. He's on a rocking chair. He looks like Santa Claus. Meanwhile, back inside, we see Candace. She's giving herself her own speech, her own toast to her own accomplishments, and she gives her mom too much credit, in my opinion. I'm like, really? You're giving your mom that much credit? I mean, I get it that she's your mom and everything, but I mean, I don't know, with the relationship both of you have, I don't know, Candace, but, you know, that's just me. But she gives her own toast to herself, and that's that. Chris, her husband, wasn't anywhere there to witness it because he's too busy being upset outside for Ray trying to tell him to basically, you know, apologize to Gizelle, which I get it and everything. But again, this is for your wife. You should be in there having this moment, this special moment, but I guess not. And that was that. And in the previews to next week, you know, I really thought that Gizelle was going to wait for season 8 to go after Mia and Gordon's marriage, but I guess not. She said, no. We're going to do it this season too. We're going to do a 2-for-1 combo. First, we're going to go after Candace, and now we're going to go after Mia. She's going to be asking Jacqueline all the right questions next week, but we shall see how that plays out. Let me know what you all thought about this episode down in the comments. Bye, everybody. Mwah.